Ah yes, the Game Boy, the handheld that started it all. The whole series sold over 200 million units. I wanted my own Game Boy, but it needed to be ultimate. So in this video, I'll tell you all about my Game Boy adventure.
You should take it slow.
My Game Boy is heavy. This is pretty chunky. Oh my god, it's the freaking Game Boy. Here there's some dust in the speaker grill, but the buttons are clicky. From the initial inspection, it looks like the Game Boy itself is working, but the display is broken. This would be bad, but because I'm building the ultimate Game Boy, I will install an IPS mod anyway. So, now it's time for cleaning. For the ultimate Game Boy, I also wanted to have a rechargeable battery. I used the common TP4056 module, a step-up converter, and a 2600 mAh battery. Oh wait, there's something else I need to tell you. The Game Boy was designed by Gunpei Yokoi. It was very innovative for its time because it had interchangeable cartridges and used a dot matrix display, hence the codename Dot Matrix Game or DMG. They finished development in 1987 and the Game Boy was released on April 21st, 1989 in Japan and soon afterwards in the US. It had 4 launch titles in Japan and 5 in America. Even though the Game Boy was weaker than its competition, it was way cheaper and had a longer battery life. Because of this, the reception was positive. A few years later, Nintendo released the Game Boy Pocket, then the Game Boy Light in Japan only, and shortly after the Game Boy Color, a significant revision, adding a color display. The last Game Boy was released in 2001, the Game Boy Advance. Now it's time for the IPS kit. To install it, I need to modify the case. Because the new screen is slightly bigger, a new lens is required. And it works! Now it was time to complete the battery mod. There's just one problem. I connected the Game Boy to the battery in reverse. It doesn't turn on anymore, so that's it, or is it? That's right! When I was ordering the SNES and GameCube, video links in the description, from Japan in April, I also got a second Game Boy. I quickly put the IPS screen in the new Game Boy . And it works! But that's not all. I reassembled the original Game Boy with the display from the new one, and that also works. So now I have two working Game Boys. I sold the old one for almost $80 and kept the IPS modded one. So even though it doesn't have a rechargeable battery and it's not the ultimate Game Boy, I'm still glad that after over a year, I finally got myself a Game Boy.